Welcome back to Family's Legacy. Today we're going to talk about interviewing your family members, which I've mentioned before is the most important step in beginning your family history research. The idea of an interview might be intimidating to some people, and you really want it to feel comfortable and informal. So you might not want to refer to it as an interview per se, more like a chat you want to have with them about their life. So here's 5 tips to get you ready to talk to your relatives about their life story. Number 1, create an interview log. As you're thinking about who to interview first, I would recommend you start with the eldest member of your family. This is when it's a good idea to start a spreadsheet or a document where you can log your planned interviews. This document can capture information like who you want to interview and their relationship to you, and then later you can log when and where the interview took place, how you recorded it, where you stored the recording, how you back it up, how long the interview took, if you plan to do a follow-up interview, and even a notes section where you can write anything that stood out to you during your conversation or items that you might want clarification on, things like that. Number 2, make them comfortable from the beginning. First and foremost, you want to make them comfortable with what you're asking and doing. Not everyone feels comfortable talking about themselves or having themselves recorded, so you'll need to feel them out and find out what they're comfortable with. Maybe they're not comfortable being recorded on video, but they're okay with a voice recording. You'll want to work this out with them beforehand so you don't show up with all of your equipment only to find they don't want to conduct the interview that way. You might even consider sharing some of the questions you want to ask beforehand. Not only does this put them a little more at ease, but it could also give them time to think about what they want to share and possibly trigger certain memories they want to discuss. You can ask them to pull out any photos, documentation, or heirlooms that they might want to share with you and discuss as well. If they do have items like this, be sure to take photos of them while you're there for your collection. Ask them before the interview if they have any more questions that you might be able to address to make them more comfortable. You'll also want to conduct the interview in the most comfortable setting for them, which will likely be their home. If you can't travel to their residence, you can record the interview via Zoom, which thankfully a lot of people are more comfortable with that nowadays after these last few years. You could also do this over a phone call. You'll want to share with them how important this is to you, that what they have to say matters, even if they don't feel like they have much to say or share, and how valuable it will be to preserve their voice and experiences for future generations. This is a special thing they're doing for you, and you want to make them feel special and valued. They're taking the time to talk to you about their lives and share intimate moments and experiences with you that they may not really talk about with other people, so be sure to be respectful and show your appreciation to them. As you begin the interview, start with some easy background questions to ease them into it, and if at any point they become uncomfortable with the question, don't push it. Move along to your next question, and if they want to address it later, they can. Stay aware of their mood and energy. Be sensitive and be sincere. Number 3, be prepared. There are times when your interview might be more impromptu. Maybe you're at a family reunion or all together celebrating a special occasion, and you might choose to pull out your phone and record some of the memories being shared. This is a great way to capture family history and take advantage of being with family members you might not get the chance to spend a lot of time with. However, if you're setting this up beforehand, make sure you have everything you'll need. That includes making sure your devices are working properly and are charged, even bringing backup chargers if the battery starts to run low while you're recording. If you're doing the interview over Zoom, be sure you'll both have a good internet connection, or if by phone, that you'll have a clear connection as well. Make sure there won't be any distractions and you'll be in a quiet and calm environment. Turn off your phone or silence notifications and be prepared to give your full attention to the task at hand. You might want to use the bathroom, bring some tissues just in case, have a bottle or a glass of water if either of you get parched. Just try to prepare and plan ahead as much as possible. You should also do some background research before the interview so you can ask more personalized questions about a specific time period, location, or historical event they lived through, for example. If you have any photos or heirlooms you have questions about, be sure to bring them with you or make copies of them so that you can ask about them during the interview. I've created a list of over 100 questions you can ask your relatives, so take a look at the list and prioritize which ones you'd like to address during your interview. You can print it out and highlight the ones that are most important to you, but also be prepared to be flexible with the direction the conversation takes. You never know where that might lead. Number 4, be a good listener. You'll have your list of questions, but be sure to stay engaged as they tell you their stories and answer your questions. Keep eye contact with them, maybe nod your head occasionally, smile when appropriate. These are all cues that you're listening and you're interested in what they have to say, and it will encourage them to keep going. Give them time to collect their thoughts. Embrace the pauses and silences. Don't rush to your next question or cut them off mid-sentence. This could interrupt their train of thought or steer them away from a story that they were about to share. Be impartial and non-judgmental, and be respectful of their opinion. Try not to interject yourself and keep the focus on them and how they're feeling. Number 5, create backups of your interview and your work. Once you've completed the interview, it's best practice to make sure you have multiple copies of your recording. So you can save it to multiple hard drives, could be an external hard drive or your computer. You can also save it on a cloud service such as iCloud or Dropbox or a service like that. You can save it to a database like Family Search, that's another option. I would also recommend transcribing your interview. Not only does this create another backup of the interview, but you'll also have a document you can easily search using keywords, for example. So if there's a particular subject you want to go back and refer to, you can easily type it in rather than going back and forth through the recording trying to find it. Finally, if there's a particular relative of yours that you never got the chance to interview but you really wish you knew more about, consider interviewing family and friends specifically about that person. You can focus your questions on what they knew about the relative, what stories that person shared with them, or experiences that they had together. You could even give them a list of questions and ask which of those they could answer on behalf of the relative, and you might be surprised what you can learn about that family member despite the fact that they're no longer here to tell you those stories themselves. In fact, when my dad passed away, a lot of people came to me with stories about him that I'd never heard, and learning these new things about him made me feel closer to him, even though he was gone. Being able to still learn things about your loved ones, even after they have passed, is a gift in and of itself, and I encourage you to seek those answers and stories and learn whatever you can about their lives. I hope that this video has given you some ideas about how you would like to conduct your family history interviews, and don't forget to check out the free handout full of questions you can ask your relatives about their lives in the description of the video. My next video will be discussing how to organize your family history items and research so you'll be set up for success from the get-go. That video will be up this Friday, so I hope to see you then. Thanks for watching.